Hi, my name is Firdaus. This research project is titled Examining the Relationship Between Personality Traits and the Effectiveness of Scam Prevention Messages in Singapore. And I work on this project together with my supervisors, Associate Professor Mr. Timothy Liu and Ms. Carolyn Misser from the Police Psychological Services Department. Okay, so to begin, the rise and prevalence of scams in recent years have actually led to substantial efforts by the law enforcement agencies to disrupt scammers' operations and educate the public about scams. Unfortunately, scam cases continue to be on the rise despite these best efforts. And so the aim of this research study was actually to identify potentially new avenues for scam prevention by examining two research objectives. One, to examine the relationship between personality traits and the effectiveness of scam prevention messages. And two, to understand what individuals attend to when viewing scam prevention messages. All right, so moving on, in terms of the method, this study's research design consisted of two phases. Phase one was a quantitative phase whereby participants first completed a series of personality and mindfulness trait questionnaires. Participants then viewed an e-commerce scam prevention poster and completed an advertising effectiveness questionnaire thereafter. And this process was actually then repeated twice for the loans and credit for sex scams prevention posters respectively. And notably, e-commerce, loans, and credit for sex scam prevention posters were chosen as these scams were some of the top 10 scams in Singapore in 2021. And the design of these posters were actually distinct from one another. And following phase one, phase two involved a subsequent qualitative interview with 10 participants with the aim of understanding the participants' views about advertisements in general, their perception of the scam situation in Singapore, and then their thoughts about the current scam prevention efforts here. And these participants were actually drawn from the pool of participants in phase one, and their responses were actually analyzed via thematic analysis in order to actually identify key themes. Okay, and in terms of the result in the discussion, the phase one findings actually showed that conscientiousness and observed mindfulness traits demonstrated positive associations with overall advertising effectiveness of the scam prevention messages. When the scam prevention posters were actually assessed separately, it was found that actually conscientiousness and observed mindfulness traits were positively associated with the advertising effectiveness for both the loans and credit for sex scam prevention posters. And interestingly, neuroticism was also positively associated with advertising effectiveness, specifically for the loan scam prevention poster. And subsequently in phase two, the key aspects that individuals often attend to when viewing these scam prevention posters include the font size, visuals, images, and colors. And most participants felt that the font sizes in the e-commerce and loan scam prevention posters were a bit too small and wordy. They also felt that the colors used in the e-commerce scam prevention poster notably was actually quite striking and unappealing. In contrast, most participants felt that the credit for sex scam prevention poster was appealing and effective in delivering the message, as the font sizes were adequate. The red colored box attracted their attention, and the content was succinct and noteworthy. And furthermore, the prevention efforts that the participants suggested include using social and online media more effectively, collaborating with well-known figures, and factoring the complexity of different languages when drafting scam prevention messages. And so, given this study's findings, there are actually several recommendations for future research. Future studies could actually utilize objective measurements such as eye tracking software to further examine what individuals truly attend to when viewing scam prevention messages. And the advantages and disadvantages of collaborating with social media influencers in delivering crime prevention messages could also be examined further. And finally, future research could actually also explore the effectiveness of scam prevention messages in relation to other personality traits that were beyond those that were covered in this study. And so overall, phase one of this research study found that conscientiousness, neuroticism, and observed mindfulness traits were positively associated with advertising effectiveness of scam prevention messages, with these associations being notably significant for the loans and credit for sex scam prevention posters. And phase two, key themes that participants attend to when viewing these scam prevention posters included font size, visuals, and colors. And additionally, suggestions to improve future scam prevention efforts include collaboration with well-known figures and using social media more effectively. Thus, overall, these findings actually serve to inform and contribute towards existing scam prevention efforts by the relevant law enforcement agencies. And I thank you.